Triathlon is very different from any other type of sport because it is three different sports all in once. And with three different sports comes three different things to worry about, and not just in training, but also in gear. So in today's video, I want to talk to you about the amount of gear that you will need as a beginner triathlete to get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Lucas and I'm your average working middle pack triathlete. That's my Instagram bio. No, really, I think it literally is my Instagram bio. When I started a little over a year ago with triathlon, one of the really confusing factors was all the gear that goes into triathlon. All these different little widgets, all the way up to bikes, to the big items that you need for triathlon. So in today's video, I just want to give you the absolute minimum amount of equipment that you need to purchase or own to do a triathlon. Let's keep it very simple and just move along how we would go through a triathlon, right? So let's start with the swim. While there's a lot of different things and maybe quality levels in your swim equipment, it is pretty simple. In order to do a triathlon, you need essentially three things. The first piece of equipment that you need for the swim are, of course, your goggles. You want a good fit so that they seal all the way around your eyes. You don't want them too tight and giving you a headache during your swim. And lastly, they ideally won't fog up. If you want to know how to pick the perfect goggles for your triathlon, I actually made a whole video about that, which I will leave you down in the description below. Let's move to item number 2, which is a wetsuit. Technically speaking, you do not need a wetsuit to do a triathlon, depending on what race you choose. If you choose a shorter distance, then you might get away without a wetsuit. But if you choose a longer distance, a half Ironman or even a full Ironman, a wetsuit gives you a lot of buoyancy in the water, which makes swimming efficiently a lot easier. When it comes to a wetsuit, you can go as low as $150, sometimes even lower, and you can go up to $1,000 and more. What you really want to pay attention here is that the wetsuit fits really nice and snug, but that it leaves enough room in your shoulders and arms to reach all the way over your head, so that when you do your freestyle in the water, you have all the range of motions and you're not restricted by your wetsuit lifting your arm. The best way to do that is to go to a proper wetsuit shop and actually get fitted. Try a few different brands, try a few different sizes, a few different fits, and if you are very lucky and have a triathlon shop that sells wetsuits in your area, even better, I recommend you go there. And lastly, you need something to wear underneath the wetsuit so that when you're in transition and you take off your wetsuit, you're ideally not butt naked. So you can do this as little as just some underwear underneath the wetsuit in the race, or all the way to a tri kit. But I will not cover this in this video because a tri kit and a 1-piece, 2-piece, that's a whole nother video to itself. Just make sure you have some kind of Speedo, swim shorts, maybe your race shorts, your like bike shorts already underneath the wetsuit. But that covers the swim, so let's move it along to the bike. For the bike, there are 4 items that you need. Let's start with your helmet. Your helmet, if you are just a beginner triathlon, doesn't need to be fancy at all. I picked up just a regular road helmet from a local bike shop, I think for about $100. Just made sure that it is a standard, safe helmet, and that's all you need. You can get really fancy with aerodynamic helmets that help you improve your aerodynamics and give you a little bit extra watts that you will need to get. Moving down from the helmet are a good pair of glasses. While a good pair of either clear glasses or sunglasses is not essential to do a triathlon, you can definitely do it without it. I have to wear glasses on a triathlon. I have contact lenses in, and you are going naturally pretty fast on a race, and with the wind in your eyes and potentially bugs, I have issues with my contact lenses, so I wear sunglasses. And I highly recommend that you wear sunglasses or some form of glasses during the race as well. It helps with the sun, it doesn't strain your eyes that much, and you don't get a headache if you're like me and easily get headaches in very bright settings, or having a bug fly in your eyes. But let's move it along to what we're actually sitting on, the bicycle, with most likely the most expensive piece of gear in your triathlon arsenal. The bike is most likely your most expensive piece of equipment. But when you're just getting started with a triathlon, borrowing a bike or maybe even renting a nice bike is a good idea to get started, to even see if you enjoy the sport. The two things I would really pay attention to when it comes to choosing the bike for your triathlon is that if you are doing a regular road triathlon, do not go on a mountain bike. You definitely can go on a mountain bike, especially if it's a shorter distance, but the wide tires, it will make it harder, and overall it will just be a longer race. But secondly, make sure you get your bike serviced. The last thing you want is picking out your bike out of the garage and maybe you've been sitting there for quite a while, get to race day, and then boom, flat tire, not oiled or rusty chain, snaps, comes off, shifting doesn't work right. Make sure you invest the $50 or whatever it costs to bring your bike to a local bike shop the week before your race and just get it serviced, look through. It gives you a peace of mind that you know the bike is working properly, there's nothing wrong with it, you can go on race day. It doesn't guarantee you that you won't get a flat on the course, so you should definitely know how to change a tire. Usually either in the middle between your bars or on the back of your bike is a little pouch carrying an extra spare tube and some gas cans to fill up the bike tire. And that is just in case you do have a flat on the course, you can easily change the tire really fast and keep moving right away. The peace of mind is absolutely worth it, and I still do that every single race. The last piece of equipment that you will need on the bike are a good pair of shoes. I would definitely recommend bike shoes because you can actually clip those in, they're a lot more efficient. But if you don't want to spend the extra amount of money, because bike shoes can be pretty expensive, I would recommend getting a solid pair of shoes with as little as possible of a cushion in the sole. You have to imagine when you put your weight and your force from your foot on the pedals, the more cushion you have, the more downward force is lost in the process, and therefore making pedaling a lot more exhausting and energy consuming. The thinner and more stiff the sole is, the more force and energy from your foot pushing on the pedals will get transferred all the way through and not lost in your shoe. If you're opting to go for a regular shoe, don't make the mistake that I did in my first race and wear running shoes on the bike. That was a lot of energy lost in the sole of my shoe. And lastly, let's move on to the run. The run is probably the easiest thing to do in a triathlon when it comes to equipment, because all you really need is a good pair of running shoes. Go to your local running store and make sure they analyze your stride and they analyze what kind of foot you need, and then pick out the shoe that you feel most comfortable with or that fits you the best. And there you go. Now you're good to run. There's a lot of other things that you can do and purchase along with it, like a proper pair of socks. Even things like a watch are really nice to keep track of your distance and time overall during a race, but they're absolutely non-essential. Let me just say this and close the video out. The shorter of a distance your first triathlon is going to be, the less gear you will need. But if you choose a longer distance, and I would recommend maybe doing a shorter one first before you jump straight into 70.3 or full Ironmans, the more important the gear that you bring on that race will be, because it has to carry you through a much longer time period and distance. Triathlon is a very expensive sport by itself already. Usually entrance fees are already pretty high, but there is so much gear and equipment that you can buy, but you really don't need it. It gets overwhelming. So before you purchase any piece of gear, just make sure it is really something beneficial. How much of an advantage and improvement in your performance will it actually give you? And then evaluate. Is it worth spending X amount of money for an extra 5 watts on the bike? Maybe you have the money, go for it. But for a beginner triathlon, I would say the less gear and little gadgets that you buy, the less you have to worry about on race day and to keep track of and organize. And I think that is worth a lot as well. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Let me know down in the comments below what's your favorite equipment for a triathlon, what's your favorite piece of gear, and I will catch you in the next video.